Since the release of WWE 2K20, WWE have changed their business strategy. They now virtually release any talent that they don't have any major plans for, and this has resulted in WWE releasing over 100 wrestlers. Additionally, there are those names that have decided to leave WWE on their own terms, either out of unhappiness or they desire to try something new. But even though these stars have been released, they're still in WWE 2K22. So join us as WrestleGamia looks at every released superstar in WWE 2K22. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when we upload a video. Number 30, the Brian Kendrick. Brian Kendrick was released from the WWE in early 2022 whilst undertaking a role as backstage producer and wrestling part-time. He was set to make his AEW debut shortly after his release, but prior offensive comments made by Kendrick leaked online, cancelling this planned debut. Kendrick is available to play in 2K22, but this is likely to be his final appearance in a WWE video game ever. Number 29, Danny Birch and Oney Lorcan. The team of Danny Birch and Oney Lorcan found success in NXT and even won the NXT tag team titles, but both teammates were released for budgetary reasons, which left NXT with one less fantastic tag team. Luckily, they're both available to play in 2K22. Number 28, Timothy Thatcher. Timothy Thatcher was enjoying a sustained push in NXT when it was decided he would take on a coaching role. This role didn't last long, however, as he would be released in early 2022. Thatcher is still available as a playable character in 2K22, likely due to how late his release was in the game's development. Number 27, Slapjack. Former Retribution member Slapjack is featured as a playable character in 2K22 to the surprise of players as well as Slapjack himself. Slapjack, aka Shane Thorne, was released in late 2021 and has yet to make any major moves in the wrestling industry. Number 26, Alexander Wolf. Alexander Wolf had an interesting WWE career. He was presented as a member of Sanity before eventually joining the Imperium brand on NXT UK. WWE never saw much potential in Wolf and decided to cut ties with the former tag team champion in 2021. His inclusion in 2K22 is questionable, but with Wolf failing to sign for any major rival promotion, WWE and 2K must have felt it was safe keeping him in the game. Number 25, Ariya Daivari. A former 205 Live star, Ariya Daivari was released from the WWE in the summer of 2021. Daivari wasn't used much on television, and WWE felt like he had nothing more to offer to the company. Although he's included in this game, Daivari is actually one of the lowest rated superstars in the entire game. Number 24, The Iconics. Most of the names on this list are those release stars that haven't signed with a rival promotion, but Billie Kay and Peyton Royce are a huge exception to this list. After their WWE release in April of 2021, both women signed for Impact Wrestling, where they are the reigning Knockouts Tag Team Champions. Their inclusion in the game in all likelihood comes down to WWE needing extra women to fill out its roster. Number 23, Tegan Knox. Tegan Knox had a reputation for being injury-prone in WWE, and this was one of the reasons WWE decided to release her in 2021. Although she was injury-prone, Knox was rather popular with fans, and those will be delighted to know she's playable in this game. Number 22, Isaiah Swervescott. Now this is a wrestler WWE probably wish they didn't put in the game, as Isaiah Swervescott just recently signed with AEW. Number 21, Tucker. Once WWE disbanded Heavy Machinery, Tucker struggled to find a place on the card and was consequently released. Tucker hasn't made any appearances for any rival promotion since his release, but is still available as a playable character in 2K22. Number 20, Lana. Lana is another addition to the women's roster in 2K22, even though she was released 9 months ago. Lana was never really taken seriously as a wrestler, so it's curious why WWE left her in the game, especially since they've cut major ties with her real-life husband, Miro. Number 19, Nia Jax. Now there has been a lot of controversy surrounding Nia Jax's WWE release. She didn't leave on the best of terms, and her social media antics since her departure have riled up fans. Nevertheless, WWE have left her in the game as a playable character, which will more than likely be the final time that the former women's champion is a playable character in a WWE video game. Number 18, Murphy. One of the most underutilized talents WWE have had on their roster in recent memory was Murphy. Murphy was released in 2021 to the disappointment of fans, but he would eventually sign for AEW in 2022, which no doubt makes WWE and 2K wish they didn't include him in the game. Number 17, Toni Storm. Toni Storm left WWE whilst receiving the biggest push of her career. She decided to part ways with the company due to personal reasons, and it's unknown what Storm's future plans are. She departed WWE at the tail end of 2021, meaning it would have been very hard for 2K to remove her from the game. Number 16, Ember Moon. Similarly to other released women featured in the game, Ember Moon's inclusion in the game is likely just to fill out the roster. Moon was released in 2021 and she has yet to decide what her next move in the squared circle is going to be. Number 15, Breezango. Both members of Breezango, Tyler Breeze and Fandango, were released from WWE in the summer of 2021, but they're still included as playable characters in 2K22. It is possible that they were left in so players had more tag team options, as the tag teams in the game seem rather limited. Number 14, Kyle O'Reilly. Only 2 members of the Undisputed Era stable are playable characters in 2K22. One is Roderick Strong and the other is AEW star Kyle O'Reilly. O'Reilly left WWE in late 2021 but was still left in the game either due to how late his departure was or the fact that O'Reilly left on good terms. Number 13, Karrion Cross. Fans expected Karrion Cross to be a huge star in WWE, but when he got to the main roster, his character and gimmick was damaged beyond repair. Cross was shockingly released in late 2021 but has been left in the game, which will no doubt delight the fans of the 2-time NXT champion. Number 12, Reckoning/Mia Yim. Both Reckoning and Mia Yim are featured in 2K22 even though Yim was released in 2021. WWE hadn't featured Yim on TV in a long time, and it's rather interesting that they've allowed both of her respective characters to remain in the game. Number 11, John Morrison. A former Intercontinental Champion, John Morrison was released in WWE in late 2021 and hasn't done anything of note since his release. Morrison being left in the game is likely down to his preference to remain a free agent. Number 10, Mickie James. Although Mickie James is currently one of the top female stars in Impact Wrestling, she did feature in this year's Women's Royal Rumble match, suggesting that the relationship between the WWE and Mickie is good. Mickie's inclusion in the game is likely due to this solid relationship, but more than likely, this will be her last appearance in a WWE video game release until she finishes her run in Impact. Number 9, Keith Lee. Keith Lee is an incredible talent, but his run on WWE's main roster just never connected. This combined with Lee's reported health concerns led to his release late last year. Lee would join AEW in 2022 where he's expected to be presented as one of their top stars. It's likely that Lee was released too late in the game's development in order for him to be removed. Number 8, Lucha House Party. All members of the Lucha House Party were released from the WWE at some point in 2021, but all members are still in this game. The first was Kalisto, then both Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado parted ways with the company. Kalisto did have a match in AEW, but unfortunately it didn't lead to an extended run in Tony Khan's promotion. Number 7, Johnny Gargano. WWE tried their best to keep Gargano under contract, but they just couldn't manage it. Since his departure in late 2021, Gargano has been enjoying time off as he recently became a father. He's been quiet in relation to signing for AEW or any other company, which likely explains why WWE is happy to keep the former NXT champion in the game. Number 6, Cesaro. Cesaro is one of the most popular stars in recent memory, and sadly WWE just never utilized him to the best of their ability. Recently, Cesaro and WWE couldn't agree to a new deal, and consequently, this resulted in Cesaro leaving the company. This all occurred weeks before WWE 2K22 hit shelves, meaning that it was far too late to remove him from the game. Number 5, Braun Strowman. A former Universal Champion, Braun Strowman's 2021 release was a shocker. Braun was a WWE main eventer, but he was also one of the highest paid guys on the roster, and WWE decided to cut him loose for budgetary reasons. WWE have decided to keep Braun in the game, likely because he hasn't made any major moves since leaving the WWE. He did appear at a Ring of Honor show, and he's involved in the controversial Control Your Narrative promotion, but there's nothing that makes WWE want to remove him from the game entirely. Number 4, Jeff Hardy. It's unknown if Jeff Hardy would be a playable character in 2K22 as Hardy parted ways with WWE in late 2021. Hardy is expected to end up in AEW, which is why some fans and players expected Hardy to be removed entirely from the game. With him not yet debuting for AEW, this likely explains why WWE and 2K were happy to keep the former champion in the game. Number 3, Samoa Joe. Between the release of 2K20 and 2K22, Samoa Joe has been released from the WWE twice. His most recent release came in January of 2022, and due to him being released as the game was finished, he's been kept in the game as a playable character. Number 2, William Regal. After over 20 years with WWE, WWE released William Regal in January of 2022 to the disappointment of fans across the world. Regal was a beloved member of the WWE family, and his contributions to WWE can never be diminished. Now, Regal just debuted in AEW, so maybe WWE might have regretted this one. And number 1, Shane McMahon. And one of the most shocking WWE departures in recent memory is that of Shane McMahon. Shane parted ways from WWE after creative differences at the Royal Rumble in early 2022. Although he's now gone from WWE, he's featured in 2K22 in a big way. He's a playable character and even available for players to select as a general manager in the MyGM mode. But there you have it, folks, every released superstar in WWE 2K22. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling video game content.